The Orlando Magic, they are visiting the Milwaukee Bucks in the game on Saturday night. Looking at the line currently posted on DraftKings, the Bucks are a 7.5 point favorite with a total of 216.5. Looking at the injury report, I do see one submitted for the Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs, another player that's been lost for the season for the Orlando Magic. Just a very, very tough break for them. They just couldn't keep their guys healthy throughout the season. Of course, Mo Wagner with a torn ACL as well. And it's just been a two-trick pony for the Orlando Magic with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero here. But Milwaukee quietly starting to play some good basketball, led by, of course, Giannis. Kyle Kuzma looks like he's fitting pretty well. Damian Lillard has been playing well for this team here. And right now, the Milwaukee Bucks sitting as the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, sitting behind the Knicks. 2.5 games there, Mac. But they are 21-9 straight up at home this season, hosting the Orlando Magic. 7.5 is a number.
I like the Milwaukee Bucks minus the 7.5. I initially looked at this game and something told me under because the Bucks are playing really good defense, number 2 defense since the All-Star break, and the Magic are number 2 on the year defensively, only behind the Thunder, even if they haven't played so well recently. And then I started listening to the Locked On Magic podcast because I like to get a little bit of that local fire of why teams are performing badly. And sometimes I think, okay, this team has the ammunition to correct some things and people are coming back. And sometimes I'm like, this is an underreported clusterfuck. And I think with the Magic, we got the latter scenario. Jalen Suggs being gone this season has been disastrous. They have the 3rd worst offense in the league, by far the worst offense of anybody that has a chance of making the playoffs. And now that he's gone for the year, they got to fix a couple things. They got to fix their offense, which again has been terrible. Banchero's been back, Wagner's been back. It's been a little bit better, maybe bottom 8, but still not great. And they got to fix their defense because they're starting to, you can't hold multiple balls at the same time. You can't focus on everything. They've had really bad defensive performances. Their 4th worst defensive performance of the season was against the Bulls at home in their last game. So I'm like, okay, well, Jamal Mosley has a great ATS record, great defensive coach. 60% unders, by the way, for the year are the Magic. So probably worse ideas than just betting this under, as I lean that way as well. But if you look at him after he's had a bad defensive performance by their team, I thought maybe they're buckled down. But the more I think about it, and the more that, I look at the results, it's the opposite. It's not a bounce back effect. It's a cascade effect. So in games, in Mosley's tenure with the Magic, where they've allowed their opponent to go over their team total by more than 10 points, they're only 45% ATS. And when that's happened multiple times, which has happened the last 2 games for the Magic, so that 3rd game, after their defense was bad again, that 3rd game, 2 and 8 ATS. And what's surprising maybe is that it's -7 ATS margin per game. They're losing by 7 points, what Vegas expects. It's all on the defensive side of the ball. They're scoring just about as much as they should, according to Vegas, but their defense, which has slipped 2 games in a row, slips a 3rd time. Generally, I think the Bucks are a great team to expose that, the way their offense is run with the perimeter game and the interior game working together. I think the Magic are too spread thin. They're trying to plug too many holes offensively, which is letting one of their league best defenses slip to average since the All-Star break. So I do lean the under 216.5. I feel like the Bucks defense is going underrated. Again, they've kind of put it together. Maybe the Kuzma trade is helping. Maybe just have that clarity with Middleton being in and out of the lineup gone. I think that helps more than Kuzma's actual defense. But Milwaukee's an arrow up team. Orlando's an arrow down team. I will grab the 7.5, and that'll be my best bet.
Yeah, I love this. This was one I was considering as my best bet as well. So I'm glad that you made this your best bet. But the Bucks have honestly, they've just dominated the Orlando Magic team. I mean, historically, since the 2016 season, they're 30-6 straight up against Orlando Magic, 20-15-1 ATS. They've won, I believe it's 10 straight games against the Orlando Magic in their own building. They've covered 4 of the last 6 games as well against Orlando Magic. Have the Milwaukee Bucks, and like you mentioned, right, defensively, this team has been playing well. I know they were limiting Giannis's minutes just because of the calf injury, and again, making sure that he's going to be another guy that's going to be healthy for this team going into the postseason. But his minutes have ramped up a little bit as well. It's great to see Damian Lillard playing well. I know last year was a transition year, I call it, for a guy like Dame, being with an organization for so many years, moving to a new city, new organization, new teammates, new head coach, new offensive system, and all that. So it took a little bit for him, but it seems like he's come out of that shell now and it's looking like Dame that we saw with the Blazers. Giannis still, again, just been dominant. I mean, there's no better way to put it for Giannis, and it just goes back to, I feel like we talked about this over the past several podcasts with the Orlando Magic team, that even if both Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero have a great game, it's still not enough. And if one of those guys doesn't have a great game, it's going to be a long night for the Orlando Magic there. So, yeah, I love this with you. -7.5 right now, currently over on DraftKings. Are the Milwaukee Bucks hosting the Orlando Magic?